My submission is that all man of God, all pastors, all reverend fathers, minus none, is a criminal. Even if you, young Baba, become a pastor today, you are a criminal. Christianity creates immunity for evildoers. When Jesus Christ came and says, I came to provide salvation for sinners, what he does not come is not to stop sin. He came to provide an umbrella that shields sinners from judgment. There is nothing like God in the form of a personality. Christianity destroys the unity of a people and creates division among them. So Bible is an improper packaged lie, sustained with fear. I told you, when you hear God, God means government of the day. When you hear heaven, heaven simply means all Western countries, Europe, America, England, Belgium. When you hear earth, earth simply means Africa. When you hear men, men simply means men of Africa. Bible is a true colonialist book. Everything written in Bible is a true word of the predator to the prey. A man can by faith believe that acid is now water, and he will now carry the acid and begin to spray on people. So faith is a potent weapon of terror. I'm going to give you maybe just 16 important points why I left Christianity. If you pick Bible from the beginning to end, you discover this is the culture of the West, which live on exploiting other human beings. Bible is just a manual of colonization, a book a man wrote and believed that this is how I'm going to oppress my colonizers, and then making the colonizers, giving the colonizers consolation to accept death. To live is Christ and to die is gain. This culture makes the people to accept death as a benefit of serving Christ. You can see him talking in Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5. He says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food. He was just creating a pathway by which you will love your own enemy. But the man went back to his land and built a bomb. You think he built the bomb to play? You are joking. The day he will touch any of his own people, he'll come back and he will demolish everybody in your village. So God don't give husband. Men saturate and make themselves available for it. Somebody is now testifying in the church that I have a husband and others don't have a husband. Somebody came to testify in the church that I entered the car. He says accidents happen. 5 died. Only 1 survived. He said this is the grace of God. People in the church shout power. Somebody come and testify. He says I buy a car. I came from a family where everybody doesn't even have a car at all. But the goodness of the Lord has been faithful to me. Somebody says power. The question becomes, when you have a car and your brothers don't have a car, your brothers is going to poison you. When the people is denied food, the people cannot know morality. Survival will always override morality. Like I told you, there are things that are not option. There are things that are the basic need of life. And so the basic need of life need requisite, urgent, meticulous attention to fix it. So when you come in Enugu, you see a massive number of youths who doesn't have a job. And then when people don't have a job, you cannot actually come and teach them morality. When the Westerners live their normal life, automatically their fight for survival is a direct extermination of life to people in black. And when the black race take their normal culture is direct attack and direct threat of life to the survival of the West. And nature actually designed this way because life and death is intertwined. And what every species fights to is to preserve their culture, because their culture is the only thing that will sustain their survival.
You were a Christian. Tell us about your Christian background.
Oh. I grew up as a Methodist, and that's why most times if you watch my videos, you discover anytime I'm singing, I sing hymn book. And so when you look at the Christianity, you discover Christianity is actually, like you hear Christians speaking and they tell you that Christianity is not just a religion, that Christianity is a lifestyle. They are not wrong. Christianity is a lifestyle. A lifestyle is people's way of life. We know that people's way of life is their culture. So if Christianity is actually a culture, the next thing it becomes, culture is made up of three features. Number 1, a people. Number 2, a place. Number 3, a body of knowledge. And so if Christianity is a culture made up of a people, the first question becomes, which people, which culture of which people? Number 2, which place is the culture established? And number 3, what is the body of language corresponding with the people practicing it? And so if you pick Bible from the beginning to end, you discover this is the culture of the West, which live on exploiting other human beings. And so when Bible is just a manual of colonization, a book a man wrote and believed that this is how I'm going to oppress my colonizers, and then making the colonizers, giving the colonizers consolation to accept death. So when you open the Bible, you begin to see Psalm 2 verse 8. The Bible began to speak. It says, ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. Ask of me, I will give you nations as your inheritance. Somebody in England have opened that part of the Bible And when God says, ask of me as an inheritance, the man remembered Nigeria. He has asked God, and God has given him Nigeria as an inheritance. A Britain man opened that Bible, ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. God has given him Ghana as his inheritance. A man of Belgium has opened that Psalm 2 verse 8. Ask of me, and I will give you nations as your inheritance. The man remembered Congo. So it's a culture of forceful ownership of land. And when God have promised you to give you nations as your inheritance, the first question you should be asking is, the nation he's giving you, is it not the land of people? Is it not human being living there? It is the culture of forceful colonizing and exploiting of people's race. And so when the man is going, the man carries the Bible as the word of the colonialist to his colony, to give the colony, to make the colony feel relaxation in being exploited and manipulated. And so I am of the organic resolution to reinstitute people our own culture. Because if you watch the technology, if you come in the physics of the universe, you discover man is the apex of the food chain. And the reason why man is at the apex of the food chain is because man does not only hunt, man breeds. Like the lion who just want to eat other animals. But man want to eat and want to reproduce. And then you begin to study the technology towards which man used to reproduce every animal. If a man want to reproduce any animal, the first thing he does, like he will first reproduce his culture. Because no animal can exist outside the culture. When a man want to reproduce a fish, the first thing he does is that he begin to create a pool of water. And not just the water, he will saturate the water to correspond with the water that will survive the life of a fish. If a man wants to rear a goat, the first thing he does is that he creates a culture of a land full of grasses, so the goats can eat. When a man wants to rear a cow, he creates a culture of grasses. When a man wants to rear anything you want to rear, if you want to rear a monkey, you make up trees. Any animal you want to rear, the first thing you do that you will reproduce is culture, because any species taken outside this culture is death. Any species taken outside its own way of life is extermination. And so you discover when a human being want to fight the existence of animal, human being fight mosquito by altering the nature of the culture of mosquito. A mosquito exists in a swampy area, in a dirty environment. And so when you are fumigating this area, the first thing you are doing is that you are creating an environment, a culture that is against the sustainability of a mosquito. So you're not even fighting the mosquito one-on-one. You are only fighting it by altering its culture. So when we are talking about reviving culture, we're talking about a man fighting your culture is fighting against your own ways of life. And I'm going to give you maybe just 16 important points why I left Christianity. I just 16. And that 16 will be I'll be taking them from even scriptures. Number one, when the colonialists left nations to colonize nations, they wrote Bible, which we correlate with their own selfish interest and then serve the purpose of exploiting their colony. And so you now see the vexing Christianity does in a people when the colonialists give them, that it anesthetizes the people and creates docility. Anesthesia means making people unconscious. Like a doctor wants to operate on somebody, the first thing he does is that he throws anesthesia on the patient. So when the patient loses consciousness, you can take any organ you want to take from the body and he will not even know. So when a Christianity enters your land, the first thing he does is it anesthetizes the people. To anesthetize the people is to make them defenseless, to make them no longer react to weapons of attack against their life. And so you discover when the Bible is writing, all that is writing is to make the people to be unconscious and defenseless. You see in Romans chapter 12 verse 19, he was speaking, he says, avenge not, vengeance is of God. That means this culture is actually treating people, telling people that I know I am coming to manipulate you. I'm coming to beat you. I'm coming to enslave you with gun. But avenge not. Leave vengeance for God. Vengeance it belongs to God and only God. So it's a culture of deliberately making people. He was speaking, he says, if a man slap you on your right cheek, he says, turn your left. So it anesthetizes the people, makes the people to think that accepting pain is a proof of our humility of service. And so somebody comes and kill your father. The person says you should find your mother and give the person. If a man slap on your right or your right cheek, give him your left. Somebody came and rape your sister. The person says you should find the junior sister or your wife. If a man slap you on your right, turn the left cheek so the person to give you another slap. And so you discover this culture, what it does is that it makes the people defenseless. And so when things that are supposed to make the people to react, to defend themselves, it makes the people to accept death as the God's will or God's agenda for them. And this is very, very terrible, because when a society accepts death, they are headed on a project of annihilation, extermination. So you can see him speaking in Philippians. He says, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Which means that This culture makes the people to accept death as a benefit of serving Christ. If you enter in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 15, you will see where God is giving Saul an assignment. He says, Saul, go to Amalek.
Yes.
Kill off all the men. Kill off all the women. Kill off all the children. Kill off all the oxen. He says, and preserve the virgin girls for yourself. So it was an assignment or a project that goes to people's land, wipe off the people's land. The other things you are telling to the people does not matter. As long as the people, you came to the people to exploit their resources, whether by fighting, whether by negotiation. Once we came with this culture, the first thing it will do is it will wipe off everybody. You can see in Jericho, Joshua 6 verse 17. The Bible was talking to Joshua. It says, Joshua, everything in Jericho, whether human being, whether oxen, whether animal, it says must be destroyed. But when you finish destroying everything in Jericho, he says you must make sure that you bring the gold, the silver, and the bronze into the temple of God.
Yes. Because
when you hear God, the problem is when you hear God, you are still thinking that God is a force living anywhere in the sky.
Yes.
God simply means an acronym of government of the day.
Yes.
There is nothing like God in form of a personality.
What do you have against Joshua Selman? That what were you following him do? Like what did you admire in him for that 8 years that you realized that it wasn't making sense? What was those things? I'm not talking about this your icon now.
I don't have anything
against him as a person.
Selman,
okay.
Because what I have is against Christianity. If I have anything against Joshua Selman, that means my agitation is unbalanced. Okay. Because if I base my agitation against Ebukobina or Mbaka, it means that one person just misrepresented an icon, which is Jesus Christ. So these men are personality. So if I have issue with them, the problem becomes if I end up maybe pulling down or destroying Joshua Selman, have I destroyed the ideology of Christianity? Because the people who are corrupting, who are doing genocide in my village are not Joshua Selman. They are not Obikobi. They are not men of God. So what I am agitating against is a culture that does not correlate with our own ways of life. And that was what I was explaining to you when I began. I explained to you that I didn't hate any particular man of God, but I discovered that Christianity is a culture that does not correspond with our own culture. My submission is that all man of God, all pastors, all reverend fathers, minus none, is a criminal. Number 2, Christianity destroys the unity of a people and creates division among them.
Would you like your business to go as viral as possible? Would you like to partner with us or place an advert on Gbam? Contact the numbers on your screen today. Let's take your brand and business to the global markets.
Africans have a culture of unity. Like you heard Igwebiike. Igwebiike means that our strength is in our numbers. We can do little or nothing in isolation. Igwebiike. But then the culture of Africa, of the West, which is built on Christianity, is a culture that is actually against collective mindset of the people. Communion against communism. It was a culture of capitalism. So you can begin to see in book of Genesis chapter 11 verse 5. You can see where the Bible says, and God came down and saw the city which the children of men built. It was talking about the Tower of Babel. And then in verse 6, God made a statement. He says, seest it thou that they are united? They speak one language, and so nothing will be impossible for them which they imagined. So God here accepted that there is a people who are united in one voice. There is a people who have collective mind, who does things in unison. He says, seest it thou now that they are. So the problem of God is that these people have united mind, united ideology, sees themselves as one. And God came and says, come, let's go down and destroy and confuse their language. And the Bible says in verse 7, Genesis 5, it says, and the Lord came down and confused their language so that they can no longer understand themselves. You will read this and you will think it's just a beautiful story that is narrating about the Tower of Babel. That's wrong. It's an ideology. Like I told you, when you hear God, God means government of the day. When you hear heaven, heaven simply means all Western countries, Europe, America, England, Belgium. When you hear earth, earth simply means Africa. When you hear men, men simply means men of Africa. So God, government of the day, he says he came down from heaven and came to earth and saw the beautiful tower which the children of men built on earth. Earth is Africa. The tower is African culture. And so when the God see this culture was built on communism, this culture was built on unison, the people are united, and God became afraid. He says there is nothing which these people want to actualize with this unison which will be impossible for them. And God says, come, let us go and sow division in their midst. So the division they came to plant is Christianity and the voice of the Holy Spirit. So when that Christianity comes, you now discover that the voice, when you hear that they confuse their tongue, it does not mean change of language. That me and you speak different language is not enough to cause two of us misunderstanding. Somebody can be speaking Hausa, somebody can be speaking Yoruba, and we still stay and understand ourselves. What happened there is God came and introduced division by removing their culture and implanting religion in their midst, which now coheres. You now discover when that culture comes, when that Christianity comes, the language somebody in Catholic is speaking become different from the language somebody in Anglican is speaking. Somebody in Catholic is saying there's a place called purgatory. The other person says nothing like purgatory exists. We just die and go to heaven. These people don't even intermarry. Division have entered. Then there's another person called Deeper Life. This one says that God says we should not watch television. That television is a CC agenda. This is division that God came to put in Genesis 11 verse 5. He says the people are united, they speak one language, and it becomes something bothering for God. You now begin to ask yourself, which God gets so obsessed against the unison that you are in peace and united with your brother? That God is only a predator. So Christianity comes to teach division among the people, and you can hear him speaking in the book of Luke chapter 12 verse 49. He says, I came to set the earth on fire. Jesus Christ himself. He says, and how I wish the fire is already kindled. Remember, I told you earth means Africa. I came to set Africa on earth, on fire. And how I wish the fire is already kindled. And the man says, I have a baptism in me, in verse 50. And how I wish this baptism is already accomplished. They are not asking the man, which baptism are you talking about? In verse 51, he says, do you think I have come to bring peace upon the earth? He says, no, I tell you nay. Not peace, but division. From one onwards, in verse 52, he says, a family of 5 will be divided against itself. 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. And the man's enemy will become a member of his household. He says, onwards from now, father will rise against son, and son will rise against father. Mother will rise against daughter, and daughter will rise against their mothers. He now says, daughter-in-law will rise against mother-in-law, and mother-in-law will rise against daughter-in-law. Somebody will come and be shouting, Ihedi, that's not what Bible means. It's not what Bible means. Bible means something different. And then you look around your family, you are seeing it critically that mother-in-law and daughter-in-law no longer speak again. You look around the family, you see a man come to the house and tell the father, Daddy, burn the father's shrine, and him and his father become automatic enemy. And somebody is still telling you that this was not what Bible means. You see a woman, the woman is going to Jehovah's Witness. The daughter now begin to go to mountain on fire. The woman and the daughter have stopped talking. And you are seeing the division happening literally in your family. And somebody came and says, it's not what God means. But Jesus Christ was he didn't hide that he's a criminal that came to neutralize the laws of the people. Because like I told you, God means government of the day. Son of God means son of the government of the day. So when they came to earth means Africa. They came to bring division in our family system. And you can see him talking in the book of Luke chapter 14, I think verse 26. He was speaking, he says, if anyone want to come to me and did not hate his father, his mother, his wife, his children, he says, such a man is not fit to be my disciple. So the first criteria for coming into the technology of oneness with Jesus Christ is the denial of your own people. And the same Jesus Christ came down to Matthew 12:25 and says, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. So he knows if a house is divided against itself, it cannot stand. But he's deliberately making sure that he divides you against your people. So number 2 reason why Christianity didn't correlate with our culture is because it teaches about destruction of the unity of an African people. But Africans is a people who is built on Igbo because just like the antelope, our strength is in our numbers. But the capital is just like the lion. One single lion can devour and make exploit in the bush. So we need to abandon and destroy that culture that teaches us division so that we can come back again to a village where I want to go to Lagos. And then I reach at this park. I see people who are just stranded. I said, enter my car. As long as I can fuel it, I will start driving those people to Lagos. But you cannot do it now because you kidnapper. Because Christianity has come to turn your brothers wide. Christianity destroyed Africans' deity that is built on the principle of justice, the principle of consequences, and reenacted a God that was built on the redemption and renewal of sin. In Africa, every deity in your village, what it does is that somebody came to steal what belongs to you. Somebody came here, some of the cameras here worth millions, 2 million, 3 million. Somebody came and steal it here. And the person from your village, you go and call him, the person is mandated to return it back to you. Somebody came and destroyed it and now give you a new God. He says somebody came and pick this camera. The person is already waiting for confession on the end of the month of August. I think they used to do that confession every end of the month. So the person can go and confess that the Yezu Camila Yambaba. I'm sorry, Daddy Balum. The person say, oh God, this is man, what will you me mean cat or the you me mean kiss a bokuleku we say emenozo when he blue cam like a. So what he does that he came to provide forgiveness so that evildoers can thrive in our society. So you can literally look at somebody lost his phone where I was doing POS. He came to plug phone. 2 phone, iPhone, and he just came, went to urinate, come back and didn't see the phone again. The guy shouted, hey, hand up on the phone. The guy said, oh, sorry, this is a very bad something. Are you a Christian? He says yes. He says, why are you crying? Jesus Christ, I've come to provide forgiveness so that the things like this will happen. The guy became flamed up. But this is truth because I know in the days of my ancestors, even if you are selling a yam, you can leave your yam and go house and come back, the yam is still there. A man knows that yam is actually guided by an unseen eyes. So people can leave their land, enter into the far bush farmland, and they cultivate corn. The corn is growing and ripening. Nobody, not even one, is taken away. Yam, without security, without satellite. Our satellite is our spiritual system. So black man's spirituality is our insulator. It shields us from doing evil. People don't do evil because of the conscience. People stop doing evil because of consequences. When I know that if I come to sleep with your wife, this will be the consequence that will come upon my heart. I will be restrained from doing that evil. And when they took away the God of justice, they bring to us the God of forgiveness of sin. And the white man went and built prison. So prison became filled because people have lost the fear of the consequences of their action. So we now have numerous uncountable number of young boys who are trapped in the prison because there was a deity that was actually insulating them from doing evil. And that insulator has been taken away from them. The electricity in this house gives us lights now. It powers our cameras. It powers this thing. The simple reason why this electricity is serving us is because this electricity is covered, the wires is covered with an insulator. If somebody enters into this house and take away this insulator, this electricity here will shock me and you and kill us to death. So why we can stay here and enjoy this electricity is because there is an insulator. So our deities is the insulator in our village. It insulates our women to be loyal under their husband. So there are deities that, like I came from Obokati. Tomorrow, if you sleep outside your husband's place, you have the consequences. So it was establishing those deities. It mandates all women loyalty under their husband. Somebody come and destroy that deity, that thing, and you now discover the Reverend Father is bearing the children in your house. How many points have I given now?
7.
7. Let's go to point number 8. Christianity creates a society of consumption and creates secrecy of knowledge. Genesis chapter 2, verse 17. God was talking to Adam. He says, young man, listen to me. You can eat anything you want here. You are good for consumption. You look around your environment, you see half apple. You look around your environment, everything you farm grow perfectly. Eat anything you want. But one thing you must not do. Genesis 2, verse 17. He says, don't eat this fruit, which will give you knowledge. He says, any day you eat that fruit, you will die before the day end. It was in Genesis 2:17. He says, any day you eat it, you will die before the... So, Adam is only good for consumption. Don't come close to the producer. And you know why? Adam is an African man. God is the government of the day. Earth is Africa. Heaven is West. You can see the practical thing. If somebody gets a visa to travel outside the country, you can see his celebration, his happiness. He knows he's going towards heaven. So that's why when you hear, you say, heaven is a beautiful city built with gates. So heaven have gates manufactured on earth. Heaven have trumpets. Heaven have sword. Because heaven needs security. That is heaven. Heaven is there. The problem is that when you talk heaven, people are looking at the crowd. So God came from heaven, and you can see them telling you in Genesis that says God made man in his image. It simply means that the government of the day came and saw people that resemble them. The white man came and saw people that look like them, and they says Adam was naked. Adam was naked means they saw your ancestors not wearing clothes. I contextually understand Bible. And so when they came, you begin to tell him, he says, young man, you are saturated in abundance of food. Anything you want, you have it around you. But please, one thing you must never do is don't tap into the frequency of knowledge. My advantage over you is knowledge. I know how to produce phone. I know how to produce camera. I know how to produce everything you need. AC, I manufactured it. Any day Adam begin to tap into the economy of knowledge, resources will no longer be moving from the Garden of Eden to heaven. Because the resources have to move from Garden of Eden to heaven. So God told Adam in Genesis chapter 2, verse 17, he says, young man, eat, drink, make merry, but don't tap into the economy of knowledge. And then there is a young man called Satan. That Satan is Ihedi, the light of Africa. So the Satan came and was telling Adam, he says, God was lying. God was lying. Any day you eat this fruit, you will not die.
Okay, you were the serpent in
I'm
the Bible.
telling you, this says you will not die if you eat this fruit. It says any day you eat this fruit, what you will have is your eye will open. And then Satan, Adam, as a young man who is now seeing the consequences of not having knowledge, who have developed the strong heart, ate that fruit. And immediately he ate that fruit, the fear of God. God now made a statement in Genesis. He says, "Set it down now, that men have become like one of us, knowing good and evil." So the disparity between God and man is knowledge. The advantage of God and man is what God knows. And so since man has become like one of us, we need to come and fight it back. So when you look in America, Afghanistan, when you hear war happening between American and Afghanistan, it's not that Americans are a people who have seen Adam, that have tapped in the frequency of knowledge. And so when that knowledge comes, God now says we need to go and pursue Adam away from Garden of Eden. So he came to fight him. The reason why Africa, the West is not fighting Africa today is because Adam have not yet gotten knowledge. So Africa is just a place of exporting raw materials, both human raw materials, both physical raw materials. The day Adam tap into the economy of knowledge, it will be disastrous. So if you look around yourself today, and I told you, let us remove everything in this room that is imported, that is not manufactured in this country, you will discover the contextual meaning of Adam was naked and God clothed Adam. Because this thing we are using to talk will vanish. It's not manufactured here, young man. These cameras, this bulb, this AC, everything, the whole atmosphere will become empty. Because God saw Adam and says, young man, you have resources that can manufacture this thing. Young man, if you tap in the economy of this knowledge, that we go hungry in heaven. Hunger will be in heaven. You know, when you hear the Bible, it says that there was once upon a time that there was war in heaven. There was war in heaven. There was war in heaven. It simply means there was hunger, disaster in heaven. There was troubles in England. There was troubles in America. There was troubles in Belgium. And the people says, no, we need to have a fight. And they fought with Satan. And then God pushed Satan down to earth. Who is Satan? Satan is Arab. The Arab came down to Africa, colonized Africa, gave the Northerners Adamu, Musa, Lawa, and all kind of names. And Bible says when the Satan has finished doing the pitiful earth upon the earth, it says God now sent his son to come and finish the new work. So when Satan finished, when the Arab finished, God now sent his son. You had the son, it means son of the government of the day. He now came and began to continue his work. So Christianity creates a community of secrecy of knowledge where people are only built for consumption. And so all we do today is consume. All we do today is consume. And all we export is raw material.
Thank you for watching Gbam. Do you want to be heard? Would you like the world to hear your story? Do you have anything educative, expository, enlightening, or informative to share with the whole world? Or would you like to show your God-given talent to the world? Come now to the most popular Igbo interview in the whole world, Gbam. Also, if you would like to place an advert or partner with us or take your business to the next level, contact the numbers on your screen today. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Young Content Factory. Thank you.